Well, hello everyone. It's me. Yes, it's me, Bridget with Bridget's She Shed, and welcome to episode 25. Yes, episode 25. Today is Monday, April 22nd of 2024, and it is a beautiful day here in lovely Arizona, and that's in the United States. I just want to say a big, 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 big welcome to all of you who have uh, been waiting for my next episode. It's been a minute. There are a lot of things that have been happening, personal things in my life. I don't want to go into deep detail because nobody really wants to hear that. But I do appreciate all of the wonderful comments and notes that I received from viewers asking me if I was okay. Um, like I said, the last time I did an episode was back in October of 2023, and I had been experiencing some pain with my shoulder, and it kept me from knitting, and it was very, very painful. I am recovering. It's getting better. I found out that it's a phenomenon called frozen shoulder, which has to do with the maturing process of those of us of a certain age. So I've had that to deal with. And so that really took me out of my ability to knit and out of my knitting mojo. And it really kind of saddened me for a while. But thank goodness I had my uh, sewing and quilting to keep me occupied. So if you're new to the channel and you're just finding me, welcome. Hello. This is all about crafting in terms of fiber, knitting, crocheting, uh, embroidering, some cross stitch maybe. Quilting started last fall. I started quilting. So anything that deals with fiber in any kind of format, or if you just like to listen to someone talk, hey, I'm your channel, okay? So welcome those of you again who are longtime viewers. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome back. All right. So I don't want this to be overly long because it's been a long, long time, long time since I've done this. And there's like so many things running through my head. And I said, you know what? I just need to just get in there and just start talking. Okay. So, what have I been up to? Well, first off, I was watching Taylor with wool needles hand. I think that's it. I might have gotten those interchanged wrong. But anyway, everything that I talk about, I'll link down below. Ways to contact me, I'll link down below. So don't worry about it. Sometimes I pop things up on the screen to tell you what they are. This is not I am not a professional videographer, editor, any of that stuff. This is just me with my cell phone, figuring out how to do this and just talking to you about what I'm passionate about. It's more about that than it is about the aesthetics of my video. I've seen some of the videos that's out there. I follow a lot of podcasters out there, and they are just beautiful works of art. I don't have that talent, so this is what you get. This is me, okay? So if you're looking for something that's extremely polished, you may want to keep looking, okay? So anyway, I was watching Taylor, and she had which I didn't know was a thing, she had an emotional support chicken. And when I saw that, I was drinking coffee, and I actually spewed coffee all over the table. I was laughing so hard. So then the hubs comes in and says, what are you doing? What is that? And he sees us up on the screen. He goes, are you going to make one of those? And I'm like, yeah. So here she is. This is our first emotional support chicken. And her name is Queen Cleopatra. Get it? Cleopatra. Petra. And I just love it. She's squishy. I went into my stash. This is some worsted weight Cascade Pinwheel. I don't even know if they still make this stuff. I had this in my stash probably since 2015, something like that. Anyway, so that's where she came from. This is some stash neutral yarn that I had, kind of off-white. I always keep some off-white. And some red that I had left over from, I don't know, something worsted weight. Some red heart. I know this was red heart. And I think this might have been some Deborah Norville from when I made some hats, I think, eons ago. So anyway, she's squishy. She could have used a little bit more fiber, I think. But she's fine. So what's amazing is that she sits in the great room on a table right up under the TV, and sometimes she's not there. She's in the hub's man cave, sitting on his lap. So this thing actually, it works. Now I'm pretty sure there are other reasons why people have, emotional, real emotional animals, but this is like an adult stuffy, and I'm like really, really getting into it. So that's my first finished object that I ever made. It's all garter stitch. One of the things that I can tell you is that the designer, I think it's called Knitting LA. I will link the name below. She has a video that goes with it. Thank goodness for the video. The pattern is pretty well laid out, but there were some things in it that didn't quite make sense. And then when I watched the video, and then even from there, after watching a video, I said, well, I might can do things a little bit differently in my mind, how to make it work. But it's very easy. So it's all garter. So if you're a beginner, it's all garter. What I took away from this as actually a learning experience is that I've done German short rows, but not regular wrap and turn. So this taught me how to do wrap and turns, because that's all you're doing is this wrap and turn short rows. So it's knit flat, and if you watch Taylor, you'll see what I'm talking about. Sorry for the interruption. So you knit the chicken flat, and so it's like, kind of flat, which is kind of hilarious. And then you put it together. One of the things that I don't like is that you have to seam it. All of this is seaming. And doing the mattress stitch. Okay. I sew, but I do not like sewing knits. And especially when you're doing the mattress stitch with garter. I'm better when I'm picking up a stockinette edge, because you have those V's that you make. like the little chains. But with the garter going into the pearl bumps, no, that's really not my thing. So I did as best as I could. And that was the one thing that I didn't particularly care for that particular part. But other than that, fine. The eyes, her eyes are safety eyes. I bought these at Amazon. I don't know, they were like $10 and I got 5 or 6 different colors. So I was going to do one eye one color and one eye the next one, but the hubs didn't like that idea. But on my next one, I think I'll do that. Make it kind of look really kind of crazy chicken eyes. But anyway, so, all right. We will just set Miss Cleo right down here to watch over things. So, my second finished object is a pair of socks. And these socks I am gifting to my daughter. She doesn't know it. So if she watches this, she'll be surprised that she's getting a pair of socks. And these are from Denise from Earthtones Girls. This is her Alacrity sock. See that? And it's using her Dutch heel. And about this Dutch heel, it's you have your choice with having the turn of the heel being either stockinette or garter. So she did a Dutch heel with garter, and then I chose the stockinette part for that's on the bottom of your heel. My first pair that I made when she first came out with the pattern last year, I did the garter heel turn, and I didn't like the way it felt on my foot, and I didn't like the way it grabbed my foot. So I decided to go with the stockinette heel turn, and I liked it a lot. So she's incorporated her short row methods into this, her shadow wrap heel, and she's incorporated that into the construction of the Dutch heel. So if you've done a Dutch heel before, you'll really understand how to do this. But if you haven't, it's pretty cool. The yarn is self-striping yarn. Of course, there are two. It's self-striping yarn for Knit Picks Felici. And it's just called Lake Gelato. So, and I made them in a shorty pair. And then the toe is just a round toe. And there's the toe and the heel are a Knit Picks. I think it's called Cork. And this is the Knit Picks Stroll Fingering Weight. I really love Knit Picks. This was the first time I've ever used the Felici sock, but because I normally use I have tons of their fingering stroll that I make. Okay. So that's my second unfinished object. My third is a pair of socks, and I'll have to insert a picture maybe here, there, or at the end. Depends on how I can get it to fit in. And I started these last year. You may have seen it, or you can go back probably around October, probably in that last episode, or either the one before that. And they're called Life is Better Camping socks. And they had a little camper colorwork. They were colorwork socks that had graphic of a mountain and a little camper or a little tent on the leg. Well, I did finish the pair, and they were gifted to my bestie who lives in Colorado. You know who you are. And I sent them to her last week, to kick off camping season, because they have a cute little camper that her and her husband go camping in, and to kick off the camping season for 2024. So I don't have them here, but I did get them off of the needles. Okay. Some of the other things that I've been doing is I've had quite a bit of whips. I've gone through some of them and frog them, because I've decided that they're no longer bringing me joy. I'm not going to make these. I'm not going to finish. I'm not going to waste the time on it, and freed up things to continue working on or to add new things. I still have a bunch of whips. I still have things that I still intend to get to, but that'll at least freed up some of my needles and some of the space in my head of clutter. So I think we all need to do that every now and then, you know, reassess. Plus, summer sock camp is coming up. That is with Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady. So she announced that it's coming up starting, I believe it's May 21st through August 31st. And she's got all the details on her YouTube channel. So if you go to that, you'll see, you know, everything, or her Instagram channel. But and I'll link to her YouTube channel below. Excuse me. But you know how I feel about summer sock camp. I go every year. Last year when I got ready to go to summer sock camp, if you guys remember, the hubs thought I was actually physically going to camp, and I was going to be gone, you know, for 3 months. Yeah. So anyway, summer sock camp is coming up. So I'm trying to clear some things off of my needles so I can work on socks. And Sock Week is also coming up. Sock Shark Week is also coming up, and that's through Nitty Natty, Natalie of Love and Stitches podcast, and that usually happens like around July, I want to say. So I'll keep an eye out for that and post that when it's coming up. All right. So what am I working on? What's keeping my attention right now? As I knit, I do take a lot of breaks to rest my shoulder. But what I'm working on right now is what I'm really focused on is I have 2 test knits, and they're due like a month apart from each other. And the first test knit, I'm so excited. The first test knit is by Twin Stitches Design, and I think her name is Julianne, and it is a V-neck pullover. And this I started last week. Yes, I started this last week. The test knit went out last week, and I started last week. And it's due May 21st, I believe. So, this is what it looks like. Pretty simple. I'm enjoying it. It's knitting up very fast. I can't give any details on the pattern because it is a test knit. I am using DK weight yarn, and the yarn that I'm using, everything is from my stash. I decided that I am on a yarn buying hiatus. I have so much yarn. I really need to start using up this yarn. And I do not have large quantities like for sweaters, but I have a lot of one skein fingering weight. So my goal is to do, of course, I love socks, is to do socks and to start doubling up the sock yarn into DK to make DK weight socks. And those knit up really fast. Looking for some really nice shawl patterns that maybe I can integrate, you know, several skeins in. But shawls sometimes kind of get kind of boring for me. So, you know, we'll see. Or where I can take some of this fingering weight yarn and use it in a sweater and use up enough, you know, of it and fade it or something of that nature. And then along with DK, I do not have nearly as much DK as I have fingering weight, but I do have quite a bit of DK. So anyway, this is made with DK, and this is vintage Barocco vintage DK, and that I'm using. And this is left over from where I made a cardigan for my mom and for my sister. And so this was some of the leftovers, and I was able to, I'm going to have just enough, I think, to be able to make the vest and kind of do like a stripy color block kind of like deal. So here it is so far. Hope you can see that. Yeah, so far, I should have got a hanger. So far, I've done the armhole, my first armhole, and this is the neck, and this will have ribbing around here, and then this is the other armhole over here. So now I got a needle. Be careful, I got a needle in here where I'm picking up the stitches so I can do the ribbing. So I can do the ribbing on this armhole. And so what I did was I added a little stripe. This color here is color number 2105. It's Oats. And let's see. Here. Other one is, this color is number 2167, and that's called Dewberry. And it's very rich. So then I've got it on a needle and some the little cords. It's also in here. I think they call them barber cords or whatever. That may be a patented name. I don't know. But anyway, I'm kind of doing a color block thing here. So I want to make sure that I have enough yarn for the neck ribbing and the armholes. That's why I stopped working the body. And then once I get this done, then I'll continue with the body, and then maybe I'll start doing some stripes. And I don't know if I'll do maybe just like, you know, 4 rows and then another stripe. We'll see. So I got to figure out how I want to stripe this, or if I want to just continue on in the Dewberry and then there's the ribbing, it's like 3 inches of ribbing, and then do the ribbing in the Oats, and then do the same thing and just do a stripe of the Dewberry. So I don't know. What do you think? Comments, please. Let me know. So that's test knit number 1 that I am working on. Okay. And test knit number 2, I am excited about because this one is for Samantha Guerin. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And it is called the Bonfire Tee. And I'm really excited about this because I've been wanting to do a test knit for her for quite some time. So I am making this this is made out of fingering weight yarn. This is color work. This will be my first color work sweater. I have been practicing color work on small circumferences, so I'm now challenging myself to a larger area, and this will be my first sweater. So the yarn that I am using is fingering weight, and it is by Holst Garn. And yes, I have a cone. This cone this is their super soft, and it is 100% wool, and this is 3,000 yards. And I've had this for quite some time. I bought a cone of this ecru, which is like an off-white, and a cone of black, which I've never used, but I figured this would be good. And actually, it was pretty economical, and I got it from Denmark. So with the shipping and everything that goes along with it, and the duty tax and all of that, it priced out much cheaper than buying the smaller, this is a 50 gram, and buying it from Canada, from a yarn store in Canada, believe it or not. So this color here is called Indigo. What's that? I don't know what that is, piece of cardboard. And it's kind of blowing out. It's kind of blowing out with on the camera, but it's real pretty. So the body of the sweater, this will be the main color, is in the indigo, and then the ecru is going to be the contrasting color. Okay. So let me show you how that is coming out. So what I did was I just wound some of this off, and when I was just guesstimating it, eyeballing it, how full to get with like a 50 gram ball, and took it off, and I got pretty close. I wound off, it was like the first ball I got was 42 grams, and then the next one time I wound, I got 50 actually on the nose. So I did wound off two cakes. So here we are. And this is a tangled. So I'm just starting the color work. Trying to get the needles to kind of lay flat. So this is the yoke. Again, I can't give out any info on it because it is a test knit. But so far, I'm loving it. Now we'll see when I have all this is fingering weight yarn, when I have all this stockinette to do. So what I will probably do is the same thing as once I split for the sleeves, get a few inches of the body done, then I'll go probably and pick up the sleeves and do the sleeves, and then come back and work the body, so that once I do the body, then I'm done. I don't have to worry about the sleeves. And the sleeves are short. I am going to make this kind of crop. Not because I just want to show off my beautiful figure, but I am going to make it crop because that way I can wear shirts like the one I have on, or a button-down collared shirt underneath it, and it can hang out from underneath it. And so I can wear it like that. And that's how I started thinking that's how I want to start. I have a couple of commercially made sweaters like that, and I really like that look. And that's what I plan on doing here. And it is, by being fingering weight, it's not too dense. So I'm hoping I'll be able to wear this, of course, not in July, but in June I'll be able to wear it. Then I'll probably be able to wear it in the, again in the fall. And like I said, if I layer another shirt underneath it with sleeves, that should work. I had thought about maybe making it out of cotton, or some linen. I had some linen quill, and doing it out of linen quill, and I thought that would be really nice for the summer. And maybe I'll make a second one using some linen quill, but it's like I really want to start using up that cone. So that was my motive, and from my stash. Okay. So this test knit is due June 2nd. Okay. Now, let's see. What else do I have? Moving right along, and hopefully this will not be too long. Let's see. All right. Socks. I always have socks. So I am challenging myself this year with the getting better with my color work. Oh, I got like a hair. There it is. I'm still challenging myself with my color work, but I am challenging myself with learning afterthought heels. Yes, I know. I've said it before. Why would you cut into your knitting like jumping out of a perfectly good airplane? But I need to challenge myself. And I've made a couple of pair of socks with an afterthought heel, but I'm just not comfortable with making it. And I figure that the way to get comfortable is that you have to keep doing it. You have to keep practicing it. So I decided to put my fears aside and just start working on afterthought heel. Plus, if I want to do color work socks that have a pattern to them, an afterthought heel is the best thing to do, because it doesn't interrupt the flow of the pattern on your socks. So if you've got a pattern with a continuous, you've got a sock with a continuous pattern, oftentimes when you have to stop to put that heel flap and gusset in, that interrupts that pattern that's on there. And especially I like using self-striping, and I find that it's it interrupts it if I was to put in a heel flap and gusset, or I have to do a contrast heel. Well, sometimes I don't want to do a contrast heel. I want to keep that going. Plus, I like with the afterthought heel, if you're using self-striping, you get that bullseye. And I think that is so cool. And I want a pair of socks with a bullseye. So I've decided, you know what? You need to start practicing the afterthought heel. So, Summer Lee Designs, and she's had a big discount. I think today is the last day. By the time you see this, then it will be over. So why am I mentioning it? But, oh well. She had 30% off of all of her patterns. And this is one, and it's called Little Dots Sock. And that's my marker for my afterthought. Isn't it cute? They look like actually like more like little puffy little clouds. Let me show you the pattern. Here it is. And I'm patterning mine sort of after this one right here. Only because it looked real springy to me, and I go, oh, I have some yarn like that. Remember, I'm using stash. So, this is called what is this called? I lost the tag. Hang on. It has to be in here somewhere. There it is. So the green is from the stash. I'm not even sure they still make this. This stuff is old. Is Clybourne Fibers, Superwash, Highland Superwash Sock Twist. And this is the color Citrus Green. Okay, and it is 80% Superwash Fine Highland Wool and 20% polyamide, which is like a form of nylon. And then the white, I keep tons of this. I love this stuff. This is by Premier, and this is Serenity Sock. And this is their, I think it's called Off-White. Soft White. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. And it is 50% superwash merino wool, 25% rayon made from bamboo, and 25% nylon. It's so soft and so squishy, and it holds up really well in your socks. So I use a lot of this for their, I like that for their the soft white. So I have tons of this soft white in my stash. I normally use, like I said, Knit Pick Stroll, which I do, but for soft white, I don't really care for Stroll's soft off-white natural color. I do love this color, and it is so soft. So that's what's going on here. So what I've done is I've marked, the sock actually goes kind of like this. There we go. So I've marked, Summer has you to mark the midway point on the back of the sock, and she tells you what stitch that should be to mark for the row for cutting. But then I also marked the two ends on the needle, the beginning stitch and the ending stitch, so I know that it's even. Because, you know, she has you lay it down and then figure out which one it is, and it's like, no, I'm not doing that. So I just put a marker at the beginning stitch and at the end stitch, and then I put one here in the middle, so that when I start picking up my stitches, I know exactly where to start picking up, and to stay in a straight line to go across. So these are going to be shorties. So the heel would kind of go like this. So I'm working on the foot right now. And see how I can just continue to work that pattern and not worry about, you know, the heel, because the heel is going to be just fine. Now I'm trying to decide if I want the heel the same color put here, or do I want to go off of my jar of minis here, and these are 10-gram minis, and grab a mini and do a heel and a toe out of these minis. Well, I don't know. I might. We'll see. I'm thinking about this. There's a fuchsia right here. These two. They look very similar. Two different dyers. I thought that would look cool for a pop of color on the heel and the toe. So I might just do that to start using up. That made noise. I'm sorry. To start using up the minis. Ooh, pretty good. I was able to move my arm over there like that. So what do you think? What should I do? Should I just put the green, use the main color for the heel and the toe, or what? What do you think? Let me know. Okay. And I'm going to just throw that in there just to have for, so I don't forget. And then my second sock is also from Summer Lee. And it is, I don't think I have the pattern. I don't have the pattern with me. That's weird. Oh, because I was using Knit Companion for my for the pattern. That's why I don't have it. And it's on my tablet. But this is her Monogram sock. And this sock is for the hubs. He is, one of his favorite football teams is the Baltimore Ravens. And so their colors have purple and black in them. And so we've got the R for the Ravens on here. So then I've marked where his heel's going to go. So I'm working on his foot right now. Yeah, that's a lot of R's because he's got a big foot. Anyway. Okay. And then here I changed her pattern. He likes the folded cuff. He likes a folded cuff as opposed to a rib cuff. These fit his legs better. And so, what is her name? Stephanie with Edible Thoughts Makes has a little tutorial, and if I can find it, I'll link it, on how to do the folded cuff. I'm pretty sure too there's others that you can Google it, and you just do a provisional cast on, and then you just knit the length of the cuff that you want, and then you fold it in half, and then pick up those stitches, pick up those live stitches from off of the waist yarn, and then you start knitting your sock. So, and what some people will do, they'll knit it where they'll have like a little peekaboo of a different color, you know, up here. Like say maybe I only did so much in the black and then did purple, and then I could have had like kind of like a stripe effect. So on the folded cuff. But yeah, I'm sure you can Google folded cuff on YouTube, and there'll be probably tons of things. I didn't invent that. All right, let's see. Anything else? Okay. Also, doing something different. My beautiful granddaughter gave a request for a... She just bought her first car. Yay! This is Little Nuggets Mommy. For those of you who don't know, I am a great grandma, a Gigi Nana. And she just bought her, my granddaughter just bought her first car. And so she sent me a picture of a car wheel cover, and asked if I could do something similar. So I found this pattern for free on Ravelry. And it's called the Daisy Steering Wheel Cover. And there isn't any name of the person who even put this together. But anyway, it's crochet. And so I started making them. And so here are the little squares that I now have to put together. And they look like little, mine look like more like sunflowers than daisies, I think. But there we go. But again, I'm using stash yarn. And so I will sew them all together with this chocolate brown. And that's going to sew, I'm going to get ready to sew them all together. And this I've had for, oh my gosh, at least 10 years. And I must have had like well over 15 skeins of this stuff. And this is, I don't even know if they still make this. This is Woolies worsted weight Lion brand. I know they still make the Woolies, but this color I have no idea. And this was called chocolate brown. And I mean, look at the label. You can tell, just, you know, they've rebranded themselves, and look how old that label is. This is like vintage. So that's going to go there. Let's see. The center, the sunflower petals is, I did go out and buy this because I didn't have any yellow at all, because I don't really make a lot of stuff with yellow. So I did buy this, and I went to Joann's, and it was on sale for $3. So I says, okay, I can spend $3. And this is their by Guerin Simply Soft, and this colorway is called Gold. So that's the petals. And then I had this in stash for the outer portion is Big Twist. And this is in their, I think it's called Camel. Again, this is all acrylic, which I don't have a problem with that at all. Which makes it nice by it being acrylic as well, because if it's going to be on the steering wheel, so you can wash it, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to, you know, be delicate with it. And then the very center of the sunflower is just some black. Again, this is like 3,000 years old. This was by Premier Deborah Norville. And it's just called, I think it's just called Black. Yeah. It's just called Black. And it's really, really soft. This is nice. It's really, really soft. So again, all from stash. And I am using sorry, I'm not more organized. Where is my... I'm using a size H hook, I believe. I don't know where my hook is. Well, that's a problem. Oh, it's in my little bag. Separate little bag. I wanted to keep it so that I wouldn't lose it. And I didn't bring that bag in here. But I'm using a, is it an H hook? Or a G? I think I'm using an H. I'm using an H, which is a 5 millimeter. Yes. I'm using a 5 millimeter hook. USH. So, I have to make a couple more squares. I made the amount that the pattern called for, and then I needed her to measure the circumference of her wheel to make sure, to see if I needed to add or to decrease some of the squares. So I do need to add some more squares. Her wheel's a bit bigger than the pattern. So that's where I am on that for her. Okay, another project that I'm working on, since we're talking about little Nuggets family. This was supposed to be ready for Easter, but I ran into some problems again with my shoulder and resting, so it didn't get done. But I plan on getting it done and sent off as soon as I can, probably in the next couple of weeks. I don't think Little Nugget is going to care what the calendar says, but anyway, so I wanted to make him a bunny. I've never done amigurumi. His little belly is showing. So I made this bunny. This is Christopher Rabbit from Susan B. Anderson. My very, very first time making an animal after the chicken. So once I made the Cleopatra, I'm like, okay, I'm on with the animals. So this pattern comes with not only the the bunny, but his little sweater and his little trousers. And this is a fantastic pattern, especially if you are new to amigurumi. Very well laid out. And you see his little, yeah, his little tail. It's all seamless. There's no sewing parts on. Because you know, I already talked to you about me with seaming and stuff. There's no sewing any parts on. You pick up stitches to attach, you know, and then start knitting things. It's very, very friendly. Even his tail, you make it and you tack it down. That's the only thing. The only thing I changed, let's see, it's blowing out. There we go. The only thing I changed on the pattern is that he's to have safety eyes. He's 15 months old. I could not do safety eyes because I felt that if he somehow was able to get that safety eye off and then choked on it, that would be the end of my life. I could not live with myself knowing that. So what I did was I embroidered him like French knot eyes. And if anything, so if he chews it off, yeah, it's thread. So rather than an eye. And I think it came out pretty good. That it's not, you know, a safety eye. And then I changed his nose here. It was like a little black string just went across here and kind of went down like a Y to make like a mouth and a nose, where I actually embroidered the nose on here. So this is and I like his ears. His ears are bendable, so you can, like, you know, you could do what you want to do with them. I have to keep this away from the hubs because along with the chicken, this seems to find its way into the man cave. So my next thing to make really is I really need to make the hubs or his own bunny. So, you know, you can give him character there. His little arms, you know, will bend up. Again, this is all stash. This is some of that big twist. I believe that camel that I just showed you for the wheel cover. This was some, I think it's called Loops and Threads, which was, I think it was a Michaels brand, maybe. That's old. I don't think they make this anymore. This little variegated thing here. I had like tons of this. So I just think this is just so adorable. And he will sit up. He'll sit up on pretty much sit up on his own. See? Too cute. So along with this, and this is a surprise, so I should have said at the beginning, I know, sweetie, you watch the channel. This was supposed to be a surprise, but surprise! So act surprised when you get the box. Along with it, I'm sending him a copy of the Complete Tales of Peter Rabbit, Beatrix Potter. So it's got the story of Peter Rabbit, Moxie Loxie, and all of those, which I grew up on. And this is very well done. It looks so, you know, vintage. And so I hope that he will spend hours listening to these tales, clutching, and he can name his bunny whatever it is he wants to name it, his bunny. And while he's doing that, and he'll be wrapped up in a bunny quilt. And that's what the holdup is the bunny quilt. So I started this bunny quilt, and then I had to do some management on my quilting room. So I now have a separate quilting room. Stella, my sewing machine, is still in this room with my knitting, but the hub surprised me for Christmas and bought me a long arm quilting machine. And so we had to convert one of our guest rooms to be able to accommodate that machine. So we recently redid some more configurations in that room with furniture and stuff. So I haven't been able to get to the machine. So this is the quilt, and it's huge. I can't show it all to you. But I just love this panel that's on here. Look at that. Look at those bunnies. The bunnies. And so I have to quilt this top. This is, I'll show it to you. This is made with 10-inch squares layer cake, and it is the Hip Hop Hooray by Teresa Kogut for the Riley Blake Designs. And this is what they look like. So, I don't have the numbers with me today on what this quilt will finish out at. So, I need to just put the backing on it and quilt it, and then the binding, and then I'll get the final numbers. And before I do that, maybe I'll bring it back on, or at least tell you what the numbers are. But that's what the holdup is. That's why Little Nugget has not received his bunny blanket. But I hope to get it to him soon. Very, very, very soon. So, okay. And let me see. I think that is everything so far that I have to show you what I've been up to. Again, thank you so very much for hanging in there with me. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope all has been well with you all. A lot has been going on in the world since we last got together in October. And if it wasn't for my knitting and my crochet and my quilting, I would be a basket case. So make sure that you love up on each other. Tell those that you love them. If you have that opportunity to do it every day, tell them that every day, because things change from one moment to the next, and you don't want to live a life of regrets. Peace be with you all. Love you. Stay healthy. And until next time, bye-bye.